as you said, the Mediterranean is a climate hotspot, and we're trying to address it. But as an intergovernmental organization, we can only address it in cooperation with a large base of stakeholders, from Interreg MED, but also member states, private sector, youth, civil society. It's important to understand that we need to work on this together. We need to find common solutions, and we need to ensure that there is intergenerational dialogue. That's why we are here. At the Union for the Mediterranean, in the Energy and Climate Action Division, we try to engage youth in policy making. We have events that are more targeted at public sector, like the Green Week that we do every year, where we bring the member states representatives from the line ministries of the 23 member states. And obviously we try to engage in a meaningful dialogue with NGOs, with civil society. And I think it's very important to have youth seated at the table with policymakers, to try not only to try to set the agenda, to influence, to have a voice at the table. So even though we're not directly funding or financing projects as you are, I believe that we're complementary, because we as public sector, international public sector, bringing the youth at the table, we bring that angle of trying to foster meaningful relations also between different countries, because, I mean, we're talking about a diverse region, also in terms of demographics, for example. We know that the EU is aging, whereas the South Shore, I mean, the youth is their strength. I mean, like they have an increasing population, and we need to look at it as an opportunity as well for the Mediterranean. Obviously, we know that this demographic challenge, coupled with climate change, can be an issue, and if it's not tackled properly. And obviously that's why we're here. We're trying to find solutions. We're trying to put and place the Mediterranean in the global negotiations. That's what we're trying to do here. I mean, with the help of Spain as well, and we're here in the Spanish pavilion. But we, as UFM, as Interreg MED, as 10 other partners, we have a Mediterranean pavilion for the third time this year. And we believe it's important to raise visibility, raise awareness, but also attract policymakers, but also the civil society at large, and raise attention to this important topic. Let me stop here, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
That is so nice, Ines, to be short. And of course, the Union for the Mediterranean is one of our strategic partners, and we have to say that they are coordinating the Mediterranean pavilion, which is not very far away from here. And we are a partner of their pavilion, so we thank also very much the Union for the Mediterranean for everything that you do. And thank you for reminding the importance of multilateral action. We know that this is also something that is put under question by many people. We can understand why, because it takes a long time to put so many people together, to agree and to advance, to progress. But from where we stand, we also understand that it's the only way to address a global problem. If we don't do it globally and all together, it will not be complete, it will not achieve maximum results. As we are on time, and even in advance, maybe I can come back to you later, Ines, so thank you so much. May I remind the audience, you're not many, so I will put a bit of pressure on you, that at the end of the event, you will have to ask a question and to present in 1 minute one idea to solve climate change in the Mediterranean. Maybe something that we can actually address. So not the widest dream that you have, but something more practical. Let's now move to something which is extremely important for the Interreg NEXT MED program, also for the UFM, for everybody, because if there is one thing we're sure of, is that we will not address climate change without considering the perspective, the view, and the contributions of the younger generations. Usually, all the people that we work in these programs, we're rather 40, 50, or even more, and we have a way of thinking, but we need to integrate in our programs, in our action, the way of thinking of the young people, which is necessarily different. They have a different perspective, different way of thinking, different way of innovate. So we need them on board. We are happy to have two young people with us today. The second one should be coming anytime. But we are going to start, and we are so happy to have you, Mariana Gomez, which is the CEO and founder of Último Recurso. Correct me if I'm wrong, of course. Which is a Portuguese association which is focusing on using the law to advocate and to fight for climate change. Of course, you will give us more information on this. My question, and of course, this is why you're here today, and I would have liked to give you 2 hours because I'm sure that you have so many things to tell us. But if you can, in 5 minutes, give us your view on what the Mediterranean should do in priority to address climate change. So it's a very wide question, an easy one, but I'm sure that with your experience and with your view, you can bring us some very precious information. So please, Mariana.
So, hello. Thank you very much for this invitation. I'm very proud to be here. I love Spain, and yesterday our environmental minister was talking very proud of the last bilateral agreements that Spain and Portugal have been doing. So, very proud to be and very happy to be here. And I wanted to start saying that, so yes, I'm here representing an NGO that's called Último Recurso, and in Spanish it will be the same. And we believe that our democracies need to be strengthened by the rule of the law, and the environmental democracy is one of the parts of the democracies too. And we've been failing on complying laws, and in consequence, we've been failing to complying with the public trust. And this NGO was founded to use the law, use the litigation, use the governance and the policy to fight climate change. One thing that we are doing now is suing the Portuguese state for not complying with the climate law. And I really believe that once the courts have a pivotal role in fighting climate change, maybe we as a society start to do the things we actually need to do, that is complying with the law. But to answer your question, I would start to say that as a young person, I have one expectations on my grandparents and parents on the just transition. So when I say grandparents and parents, I'm talking about the older generation. So in order to do a just transition, we need to be able to have a smooth transition of the older generations to the renewable sector or to the green or to the climate jobs. And one thing that we are not doing right now is to train the people, finance train the workers, finance the workers, and give them an opportunity to move, for example, from the fossil fuel sectors to the renewable sectors. What we've been seeing, actually, in the opposite, is we are closing, for example, refineries and sectors that pollute our society, and we are not doing the transition of these workers. They are being left behind. So I have one expectation on this, that we do not leave anyone behind. And this is actually the concept of just transition. And the second is about, well, youth and the green jobs related to youth. So the first thing I would say is I'm very worried about the role that AI will play on this green transition, because we know that a lot of jobs will be lost. And I don't know if I would be a lawyer in 10 or 20 years, or if I will have a robot doing my job or not. The second is salaries, and why I'm talking about salaries, because we are in the finance scope, and actually when we talk about the green transition, we need to talk about how we are going to finance the green jobs. And of course, youth has a central role here, because we are going to be working at least for 50 years more. At least I hope I will be working for 50 years more. And in the Mediterranean, salaries are not good. So we actually, before talking about green jobs, we need to start talking about how we are going to structure our financial system to be ready for the climate jobs. And the last thing I would say is youth in the public space. So talking about transition is also in the public space, and one thing that I've been realizing is it's very difficult for youth to integrate the public decision and the public space. And actually, it's very difficult to have a public green job. The majority of people that are in control and are voting and deciding on climate change are all the older generations. And this is also a problem because if we want to fight climate change, the people that are going to have the consequences of climate change they have to be in the table, and unfortunately we are not. And the last thing, I hope I'm complying with the time, is we need to start seeing business as nature and not nature as a business. And as a young person, I'm very frustrated that every week we've been seeing people dying and we've been seeing a lot of disasters going on, and we keep talking about economy as if this was not an abstract concept that humans created, as if one life it's less important than a coin or money. And we need to shift this perspective in order to do this green transition, because we are not supposed to have profit and fighting climate change. If we cannot have profit, then we don't, but we save a lot of lives. So if I can live this message, I will live this message, and well, that's my perspective. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mariana. It's so nice to have that view, that perspective from such an already experienced young person. I think we can say this. And yeah, maybe you're right about AI, and when we will go to COP40, we will have no speakers but robots, and the moderator will be a robot too. That's most likely. Thank you so much for addressing the topic of green skills, green jobs, and green skills for green jobs, and also the transition between generations, because this is something we care about in this program, in the Interreg NEXT MED program. And in fact, on Saturday morning, we have an event at the Mediterranean Pavilion on green skills, of course, mainly for young people, on what we can do to fill the gap between the green skills that the young people have and those that are required by the market. And we will be happy, of course, to have you all on board to that event. And I think it's also a very interesting message that we should not forget the people that are older and their role in the transition. I think it's also very important that we take into account that the baggage or the knowledge of the older persons should also be transferred to the young persons, and vice versa. I think there is a win-win gain there too. Thank you so much. If we have time, we come back to you. I think that you are developing these ideas in your mind. No pressure, of course. Yes, we are more than on time, so the next part of the agenda will be dedicated to the call for projects that we are going to launch very soon. And I will give the floor to two of my colleagues from the program that will inform you and that will provide relevant information on what will be this call for proposal, what will it be about, and what can you do to play a role in this call, in particular if you are a young person or if you are working in a young organization. So our communication manager from the Interreg NEXT MED program, Martin Hebel, will introduce you the beautiful world of our program.
Thank you, Vincent, and welcome to all to this panel. And I'd like to start with quoting a very nice Arabic proverb, since we work in also Mediterranean is an Arabic region, and they've always like very nice expressions. And like to take that one, don't cut down the trees that give you shade. And I think, unfortunately, in the Mediterranean and across the world, we're going into the total opposite direction. We're like killing the house that has been hosting us, welcoming us for so many centuries. So it's time for action. We came at the COP with also an offer with financial means, since this COP is also dedicated to financial action. And we're providing a space for young people, not only to discuss, to raise their voice, but also to be the leaders, to be protagonists, and really to turn their role from activists to actual project implementers. We feel that the voices and the concerns of the youth have been heard. Maybe they've not been listened to, probably, but they have been heard. But now we would like really them to take action for the climate, for environmental sustainability, for the green transition. So our program is providing that opportunity. So our program actually is a beautiful one. We've been around since 2007 across the Mediterranean area with 15 countries. It's the largest one across the Mediterranean area, funded by the European Union in a cooperation fashion between the northern country all the way from Portugal until Greece, with the southern countries, our neighbors. We call them our partners, our neighbors. We feel that it's a cooperation on equal footing, as Ines was telling us. We have nothing to teach to our partners from the south. We only have to learn. If you think about like the issue of water management, water scarcity, I mean, some of the countries in the Mediterranean area, like Jordan, are some of the poorest water countries on earth. So we feel we can only learn from each other by working together. And that's the philosophy of our program. That's the philosophy of what we do. There is no copyright in our cooperation. We try to share solutions and to advance stronger together on a number of topics. Of course, the cooperation on environment, climate action, green transition is central in our program. We've seen the development of the environmental concerns since 2007, when we started this multilateral cooperation under the leadership of the European Union. Yes, there were some concerns about the environment, but it was not central. Now it's taking all the floor, and actually what's very interesting, the momentum we have is that the environment is being like mainstream, not only in the core environmental sectors, but it's like spanning over economic sectors, training sectors. So I think it's a good experiment we are doing, like we are really trying to push for the greening of different sectors. I don't know if the slides are working actually, but we can move on. The philosophy of this program is really to join forces across the Mediterranean area, to share know-how, to share solutions, to bring together expertise. So really what we like to do is to see maybe an NGO from Jordan working together with a university in Italy, together with the public administration in Spain, and with a business organization in Palestine. And the fact is that through this cooperation platform that we are providing to Mediterranean stakeholders, we can really come up with stronger solutions. It's not working alone in your country to address your local issues. It's really to work together to find the solutions that are needed to advance together on climate action. So our offer today and our offer at COP, we've been waiting to launch this huge call for proposals, at least at our scale, of 83 million euro, dedicated fully to green transitions projects, again, in a cooperation fashion. I mean, organizations willing to approach us should come up with a partnership that is representing different countries of the Mediterranean area. And we also providing, I think, at least at the Mediterranean level, first of all, we have been working with 15 countries, 15 different countries that have different priorities regarding the environment, also different level of concern, but to respect always the voices and the level of ambitions of all the countries. I mean, we cannot pretend that our friends from Palestine, our friends from Tunisia, our friends from Jordan have exactly the same concern regarding the environment than stakeholders from France, from Spain, from Portugal. So also respecting the ambition and adapting the level of dialogue and action on climate change, for us it's very important. And having that kind of program where you will be working with local stakeholders, civil society organizations, municipalities, university, association of youth, business support organization, is having a let's say, an ear on the territory. We've seen that what the EU has in mind and then what we will be implementing in terms of thematic priorities, someone, somehow, and sometime doesn't always reflect the actual needs on the stakeholders on the ground. So we have seen that at the level of implementers, project implementers on the ground, there is growing concerns on microplastic pollution, on the impact of the fashion and the textile sectors, on food waste. And these are things that maybe in the overall EU regulation and the priorities were not fully tackled. So it's also good to adapt to the actual needs of our territories. So again, if we can move on, Alessandro, for this call for proposal, we are taking what we called an integrated action, multi-sector action. We are not limited our level of engagement, again, which is 83 million euro, with projects up to 3 million euro. We are not limiting it to the traditional, let's say, environmental sectors, the water management, energy efficiency, circular economy, and adaptation and preparedness to disaster. We are extending the vision to other sectors, to sustainable SMEs growth, to, of course, the education and the training sector, so we are able to cultivate and to come up with a new generation of workers that have the skills to adapt to the green transition. This is fundamental, and one of the actions we would like to see from you is that really you nurture training, TVET programs with specific programs and initiatives on green skills. It's fundamental. As Mariana was saying, as long as people do not have the right skills, they will not find the jobs that are required by the green transition. We are also working on governance, like on how local stakeholders, citizens, group of associations, NGOs can have their concerns and interests better heard by public authorities by creating platform of dialogue, so local public policies, because one of our focus that we have learned is that it's better to start from the ground, from the local level, really to have an impact on the territory. So another concern is that the concerns, the interest and what the needs of the citizens in terms of climate action are heard by public authorities. Of course, innovation will be fundamental to deliver that technologies that are needed, that green and climate technologies that are needed to turn and to achieve a low carbon economy. So we're also looking not directly at research and development program, but at that pathway that will transfer climate technologies from laboratory to the real world application. Sometimes this is missing, so we're looking at that particular link. Of course, circular economy will be fundamental, but again, we are taking the perspective of the stakeholders, so we would like to apply that concept of circular economy in SMEs. We have seen in previous iteration of these programs that young entrepreneurs are really willing to adopt a circular business model, low impacting, low carbon business model, but they need the support to do this. It costs some money, it comes some extra efforts. Being an entrepreneur is already a challenging task, but we also try to push through incubation, acceleration programs, so young people willing to make money, to have a business, but at the same time to respect the environment. So it's also something we will be working on. And we have a new concern, and I think it's a concern that is shared by a lot of people here at COP. It's the consequences of climate change on health. We've seen these crazy heat waves that some years ago, I remember when I was living in France, have been killing thousands of people in one summer, especially older people that were like isolated. They couldn't find like a support to communicate their distress. So also the health system at local level, small hospital, small health support organizations need also to adapt to this new emergency of climate change, to the new disease that will come also with climate change, with global warming. We've seen an increase of vector-borne diseases and infections that are coming to the Mediterranean area that before were only happening in southern latitude. How we cope with the emergency also of extreme events, flash flooding that will unfortunately cause casualty, but again, health systems really need to adapt to this new reality, and also have hospitals that have reduced impact on the environment. I think it's also our duty to do that, and we will be also working on our health regarding diet. So also locally sourced products, organic, bio, because food is our best drug, is our best medicine. So also if we want to stay healthy in the light of climate change, we also need like to adapt with like diet that are not impacting on the environment. And we need to teach that. And this linked me to my other point. We want to see like projects that are delivering at multiple levels, not only at technical level with implementing like pilots on the ground, small infrastructures that in our opinion should be very visible to the people. What's missing, for example, with solar panels, solar energy, is that they are built usually on the roof and you cannot see them, you cannot touch them. So we're also like encouraging stakeholders to install small infrastructure to fight climate change that are visible to the people, that are visible to university students, to school kids. It's very important that also the young generation are like very, their awareness is totally raised on climate action. And this societal impact that people are aware of what really needs to be done, needs to be achieved in terms of our daily habits to have less impact on the environment is also very important. So we really call you to have technical solutions, but also to work on the mindset of the people. They need to understand what to do. Also working on the capacities of local authorities. So, I mean, they know how to address climate adaptation plans. We've seen that sometimes the capacities, the skills, the knowledge is missing in some parts of the Mediterranean area because it's a sort of new concern for local authorities. So we also need to work on this. So usually our projects, they should be made up of at least 3 different countries. Again, it's a partnership approach, equal footing to addressing climate change with funding up to 3 million euros. But what we're bringing here today to this panel is really our youth-oriented projects, like I was saying. It's not the first time we are doing this in this program, but we are one of the very few EU-funded programs, at least in our family of 80 programs, that is really taking care of the young people. And it's not youth washing anymore. We don't want to hear the voices of the young people anymore. We've seen movements, we've seen Génération Extinction, we've seen Fridays for the Future, we've heard Mariana, so I think it's time for action also for the youth. So we're taking a new perspective where, as I was saying, we want to see projects that are led by young people, by youth organizations that are delivering for the young people. We don't need older adults in the room anymore. The young people have all the knowledge, all the means. They know where they want to go. It's a democratic platform. They can choose themselves. They can choose the priority they want to work on to address climate change in the Mediterranean area. And as a program, we're providing the platform and we are providing the financial means. Again, projects from 700,000 euro up to 1.5 million euro. And we really believe in that investment on the new generation. my generation, the ones who have 14, are experiencing climate change, but I think will die happily or fortunately. But I think the young people, like my daughters really, especially in the south of the Mediterranean area where we are from, will experience like some dramatic change and they will need to adapt. I don't know if we can mitigate anymore, but I think we have the keys and we have the technologies, we have the knowledge to adapt. What we are trying to do as a program is to deliver some solutions and to showcase that these solutions are working. They can be technological, non-technological. We can work on awareness. I mean, there are so many things we can do. So for the young people, we have a lot of ideas in mind. I mean, we can support youth entrepreneurship, which is dedicated to green solutions. There are so many issues to address. Also, mental health, distress, eco-anxiety, it's a topic we are hearing a lot about, and that is especially affecting young people. So also, youth-oriented projects can address this by creating support services for young people. So, I mean, they can share their concern with the environment. And also, as I was saying, the governance, so the dialogue and the place and where young people really can deliver key messages to local authorities or where they see their priorities and where they want to go. So through our projects, we will create that platform of dialogue where young people will have the opportunity to express their concern to public authorities, and hopefully this will translate into local policies that take better into account the concerns of young people. So we want to put the young people into the discussion under the spotlight, but we want them, through dedicated EU funding, to take action in the Mediterranean to advance on climate action. So we are really looking for the participation of the largest number of youth-led organizations that will bring to us energy, enthusiasm, fresh ideas, and also this capacity to mobilize public opinion and maybe also to advocate for a better way to addressing climate change within the public authorities. We've seen that when young people raise their voice, raise their concern, at least something can start in the mind of policymakers. So being heard, but also, of course, the young people being listened to. So this is our ambition for this call for proposal again. Money is available. We're respecting the message of this COP, funding for climate action. We have 83 million euro for you, for the Mediterranean, to accelerate the green transition and achieve or contribute to a more climate resilient region. There is a lot to do, but with the energy of the stakeholders of the ground, with the energy of 15 countries, I'm sure we will come with wonderful solutions that can then be further replicated, promoted by our friends from the Union for the Mediterranean. So time is running, but it's really time for action. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin. Time is running in the agenda also, but very, very interesting, of course. Sorry, Martin is one of the main brains, or he is the main brain behind our call for young persons. So we should be grateful to him because he had that idea to integrate the young persons in our program. It's very important. I saw that Mariana took many notes, and I would like to say that your organization is, of course, welcome also to participate in our call for proposals, as the rest of organizations that you represent as far as they are based in the Mediterranean. Welcome to the newcomers. So a couple of you have arrived now, so thank you so much for joining us. Before giving the floor to my other colleague, Alejandro, I would like to take the chance to respond to one of the points raised by Mariana, which is the need to put the young people on the table. From where we stand, we have the feeling that it's already done, but maybe we are wrong because we have another position. So I understand that we have to see also your perspective. And I would like also to ask Ines on this, if you agree. So from your point of view, from the point of view of an intergovernmental organization, wide organization, what can we do to make sure that the young people have a voice and have a say in the important decisions that we take. Just if you can provide us your point of view in 1 minute.
Sorry?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. No, I think it's very important to have young people at the table, seated with policymakers. As I mentioned, whenever we organize like our public sector gatherings, we always try to have civil society. And an important component of civil society is youth engagement. We have that angle. We also have that angle of the private sector. We organize a business forum every year as well. And even though we don't have a financing reach or of your for financial firepower, for sure we are not giving grants of 1 million. We don't have that. But what we can give is a place to showcase their projects. And for example, in the last business forum a month ago in Cairo, we had young entrepreneurs pitching their projects to basically the private sector participants in the middle of the Cairo Sustainable Energy Week. I think that is also important to involve them, to give them an opportunity to showcase their projects, even if when there is no financing involved. So I think that when we work together with different stakeholders, as we are, hand to hand, we are complementary to each other. But I would also like to mention what Marianne is doing with what the NGO is doing, because I think it's very important to take bold action. I mean, it's not only to raise awareness, but also fighting with the right tools. And when I see the youngest generation actually going to court, suing our governments, it's fighting with the right tools. It's not only raising awareness. I think that's also very important. And I feel very pleased to be in a panel with an organization that is trying to challenge the status quo and trying to advance for a more just transition with concrete actions, not just words. Because I think that it's not only seating, obviously, youth at a table, it's also trying to find concrete, tangible solutions for our shared problems. Because, I mean, we live in the Mediterranean. It's a region that we know it's warming 20% faster. It's affecting all of us, 43 member states. We need not only to talk, but we also need to find concrete solutions. So I'll stop here, and I would be very happy to listen to Mariana to expand a bit more on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Of course, we would like to expand a lot on this, and we have so much to discuss. And by the way, what Ultimo Recurso has done is amazing. So I hope that we can hear more from you in the coming days, or maybe in any event that you are here, of course. As we are now around 20 minutes away from the end of the meeting, I will give now the voice to my colleague Alejandro Lafarga from the branch office of the program in Valencia. Spain is, of course, very active in this program, so it's also very good to be here in the Spanish pavilion. And he will moderate this last session and encourage you to give us a voice. And of course, the rest of our speakers are welcome to react to your proposals.
Thanks, Vincent. So now is when I'm going to give you the floor because we also want to hear the audience to see what you think, what the young people can do, what can they provide to the fight against climate change. So, and we keep in mind that this is a generation that now is facing a very huge challenges. We know all of them. There is the salaries, there is the employment, there is migration. So there are many challenges, and yet we are asking them to take the lead and to act and to be active and to be the activist, the main activist in the fight against climate change. So, if there is anyone in the audience that want to share one idea of what can young people do in this fight against climate change, especially in the Mediterranean? Is there anyone in here? Because we want to be open. Of course, we want to give the voice. So there is someone here. So thanks.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the opportunity of having a youth assembly in the Mediterranean.
Can you,
¿Me oyes?
yeah. I don't have here speakers, but yeah, great.
Can you hear me now? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think there's, well, in fact, it's two questions, and, and then I will transmit this to youth groups in the Mediterranean that we collaborate with. One idea is, I think it was interesting the topics you put, but the idea of governance, strengthening governance also. And also because, it's, so one idea is a youth assembly, which is something that, in climate change, we know that they can be very effective at giving a voice and kind of formalizing the requests that youth would have. So that would be one idea. And the second idea, and you come from Valencia, so you know, in a country like Spain, energy communities. I mean, is this, what do you think about these ideas as potential kind of projects that could be, in a way, suitable for this funding program?
Thanks. So both of them are completely aligned with the program priorities, especially in the fact that governance and youth associations. So we are really seeking this kind of associations or this kind of civil society associations to take the voice and to participate. So there is one specific objective in our call, which is governance, and it's open for youth projects. So we will be more than happy to receive this kind of proposals. And for the second question, energy communities, of course, they are also open. I mean, they are also accepted. We have also we have one specific objective in the call, which is about energy, but keep in mind that this is for energy efficiency. So energy communities is more about generation. So we can find some ways to adapt it, but keep in mind that we are more working on efficiency than generation.
Martin, I think you want to react also on this.
Yeah, I think the idea of these youth local assemblies is really fantastic. It's really what we're looking for. And we need to be ambitious, like go beyond the, let's say, dialogue approach paradigm, where there is a discussion, but really these points that these requests and these concerns by young people at local level for environmental climate actions should be taken on board by local decision makers. I mean, this is our ambition. Otherwise, we will create, again, platforms where, yes, we discuss, but we don't take formal commitment. We need to go to the formal commitment, even if it's one or two requests. I mean, it's important that we create that momentum where the concerns of the youth are actually translated into something formal and that action is taken. So this is our ambition, and also having a sort of Mediterranean perspective, like also uniting youth from all over the Mediterranean for us is super important. So we create that, let's say, global Mediterranean community where the young can agree, because maybe between them they won't agree on the same priorities, but let's come up with the 10 priorities for young people regarding climate action in the Mediterranean area, and let's go to the decision makers. Let's go together, let's go strong. We will support this as a program. Thank you.
We have 10 minutes left, Alejandro.
So is there, before giving the floor to someone else, one more detail is that a project in our program would ideally combine a partner that would be some civil society organizations about youth, and maybe some other policy makers. So if we combine these two type of entities, that would be perfect, because we can demonstrate that we have young people interacting and influencing policymakers at local, regional, or even national level. So thanks. Anyone else in the audience has a specific idea or like a opinion about what young people want to do? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Thank you very much. Peter Downey is my name from Ghana, West Africa. I just want to find out, is this funding limited to Mediterranean region, or it can be expanded to West Africa? Because in Africa, unemployment is in its ascendancy, and that has a potential of creating violence. So if we are able to engage the youth more, particularly in basic economic activities like agriculture, for them to adapt climate-resilient agricultural practices, it will revert some of these violence and also even create economic development for the sub-region. So I just want to know, is it extended to Africa? Thank you.
Thanks for your question. Unfortunately, the program is, it's limited to a list of 15 countries. So in Africa, we've got Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, Jordan, and Palestine, and the other are in Europe. So this is these are the countries that are eligible. Then, if it's possible that at some point some collaborations with entities out of this area, but these entities wouldn't receive any funding. So, but of course, a project that would include or would have a higher approach in the area could be well regarded, but entities out of these countries are very difficult to receive funding in there. But thanks. But what you mentioned about the idea about the youth in agriculture, of course, is also one of the topics that we want to raise, because we also know that if we want to keep our agro-food industry and our capacity of production, we have to engage young people in this sector, of course. Thanks.
I think Martin wants to add something very quickly, because we're...
So, as Alejandro was saying, unfortunately it's limited to the Mediterranean, but we have some sort of forms of association where organizations from other countries that are not Mediterranean could witness and be part in some way of the projects and see the solution, go to Europe, go to other countries and see what's going on. So if you want, we can discuss it, but there are some forms of association to expand a bit that geographical scope. So we also would like to see this. We also like trying to convince the European Commission that kind of programs based on cooperation should be extended to other areas of the world, because it's providing some real benefits for local stakeholders, for youth organizations. It's working well because it's based on cooperation. We're exchanging know-how and we're advancing together. So we hope that in the future we can go also to West Africa. We have not closed the door. We're also trying to push the Commission that this is when we also need to invest the money.
Thank you so much, Martin. We have a few minutes left, so I give the floor back to Alejandro.
So, still open for questions in the audience. If not, I think that if not, we will be happy to hear. I don't know if some.
Of course, and I think that we gave such a short time to Mariana, and she has so much to tell us. She raised one point which is very interesting for the Mediterranean, and I think aligned with most of the countries, which are salaries that are not the salaries that the young people are expecting, and they are moving north, and we are losing talent. So losing talent is quite very important for the Interreg NEXT MED Programme, for the UFM, for all of us, especially in the countries where we are not very competitive in attracting talent. So I would like to ask you, Mariana, because you raised that point, do you have in mind, of course, raising salary, it's what we should do, but anything else that you have in mind that we could do to be able to raise salaries in our countries of the Mediterranean? If it's too complicated, just tell me, but if you have any idea on this, what else can we do?
I think the first thing we can do is to stop to look at this youth engagement as a box, because youth is not equal. We are not the same. Like, I don't have an opinion as youth. What is youth?
Okay.
Like, youth don't have an opinion, like older people don't have an opinion. And when we do this, we are telling, basically, in my opinion now, that youth are not part of the civil society or the civic engagement, and actually youth are citizens. And more than this, youth right now are, or at least in Portugal, we are the most qualified generation ever. And we right now, at the same time, we have the worst opportunities, the worst life conditions, and also a lot of eco-anxiety. Meaning that I think, so again, I think there's a whole cultural and perspective shift that we need to do. And if we are the most qualified generation, and if we have the capacities and the skills, we should stop talking about hearing and listening to incorporate. Like, actually, why do not young people have like pivotal roles, like high level roles in the public and the private space? Why not? Because in September, Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of United Nations, he said it's time to youth to lead.
Okay.
Like, it's time to, like, I know that older people worked a lot. It's time for you to rest. Like, let us take the lead. Like, we have a lot of ideas. We have knowledge. We have energy. So if we keep like looking at the young people as like this small part of society that we will ask to come listen to the old ideas, and in the end of the day we give you the new ideas and you are like, okay, forget about that. We are going to keep going and doing our thing because we are already shifted to do this thing. We are not going to change anything. So we need to, last thing is, we need to be respected as citizens that are very, very qualified. And one of the reasons that I created this NGO focused on law, governance and policy is to tell one thing. I'm a young person and I can put my state on court if I want to. And we are used to give actually finance to young people to develop assemblies, lectures, training, planting trees, but not going to courts, not doing policy making, not doing advocacy. But we can do it too if we want. So I think that's my main message. Thank you.
Thanks again. Of course, the older generation, they don't want to always to give you their position. That's very comprehensible. But I think also that you raised some important questions and you gave us some very good sentences that we have to remind. First one is that there is no use opinion, so you are citizens like the others. And the other one is the one you mentioned in your first intervention, which was that we have to consider now nature, not nature as a business, but business as nature. So maybe this is something we have to consider integrating in our future narrative also at program level. We are ending, so I would like to maybe the last contribution of each, but in 30 seconds. So 30 seconds is 2 minutes, and you will close. We start with Alejandro, 30 seconds. Do you want to give a message to the audience?
I just want to stress out the message what Maria said about what sometimes a youth is not gaining the salary that they deserve, because sometimes they are very well skilled, but these skills are not at this moment valued by the market. So this is something that we also have to work on, because some skills of youth are really valuable, but experience sometimes counts too much. So that's my point.
Ines, your final conclusion on youth climate action.
Thank you. No, I mean, my final conclusion is that the Mediterranean is warming 20% faster. This is a common problem. It requires a common solution. And we need to look at young people as partners, not only as beneficiaries. That's it. Thank you.
Martin.
Yeah, we are optimistic. We know there are reasons for hope. We know the situation is quite worrisome. We've learned that we had challenges, but now we have a threat in front of us. So we have no other choice than working together through what has made us strong in the past, this common Mediterranean destiny, identity and unity. We know that the area is going through very complex challenges, but we feel that climate action could be the one uniting people across border beyond any differences. So we're optimistic. We can do it.
And Mariana, you already provided so much, but if you can give us your final thoughts in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think the best thing that any policymaker can do for young people is to comply with the law. Have you ever think, like, if we complied with every law, like, what would be the state of our planet?
Of course,
we
it
would
very
be
different.
like in a very better situation that we are right now. And in terms of finance, start to finance projects that promote the rule of law. This is very important.
Thank you so much. We'll be looking forward to have Ultimo Recurso in our program, so pay attention to our website, social networks, because we are going to announce our call for proposals very soon, and you're all welcome to join us. Thank you so much for your attention, and thank you so much, Spain, also. We have the flag, Martin.